Earth experiment up on his channel? I mean, and
it's the little inconsistencies that you people don't keep up with.
It's the little inconsistencies that you people don't keep up with, okay? It's the little inconsistencies when these people are so far off base that it's ridiculous. First of all, they're talking about a laser experiment that was 3 years ago. The laser experiment where I met Bob because Bob donated the laser. Then when we had the laser, I put out a feeler saying, hey, if I get $200, I could get a professional film guy to come and film it. And Eric Dubé donated the $200. Remember, this is 3 years ago. Now, if you're looking for that video, which, oops, what did I do here? Oh, sorry. If you're looking for that video, we will go there real quick. Let's just check this out. We're going to go to YouTube here. Where is this video? So we're going to go to, let's duplicate that.
This
and
Jeranism.
If you need that one, you go to Jeranism.
He's a bullshit artist.
4 mile test. So he just said there was a 4 mile, laser test that I did with Dubé that failed. And he's completely wrong. So I just want to point that out, that he has no idea what he's talking about. The 4 mile test that was done was actually a complete success. This here is the professional film guy filming from across the water 4 miles away.
The arrogance. He says that the experiment he did with Dubé, or sponsored by Dubé, was a success. The purpose of what you're about is flat earth. Any experiment you do, the conclusion of that experiment should go along with flat earth. I don't see how it could be a success if that's not the conclusion. What else would draw the conclusion for a flat earther to do an experiment to see if the results show if the earth is flat? If all that goes together and the results show that the earth is flat, that experiment is a success. But you, Jeranism, you are a bullshit artist. You are a fucking liar. And you are about to expose how big of a liar you are just by listening to you.
And you can see that I've linked up these 2 videos, and I'm shining the green laser at the bottom of the white board. Maybe drawing that here. And you can see it synced up with the same time as the green light is appearing in the camera here. Now, you can be like the geniuses I've seen, like the event skeptics who say, dude, Jaren expects you to buy this, and it's 2 different days. Look at the sun is out on one day and it's not on the other. It's like, no, the sun is setting. We're at the beach. The sun's setting over there, and it's dark behind us.
It's not even showing the video.
Anyway, so this was 3 years ago. This is the one that Eric Dubé paid $200 for this cameraman. The first night we went out and did it, we couldn't do it because we tried to shoot the laser across the lake, and it got or across the ocean, got over the other side. The beam was too big. And so we went back the next night and had the cameraman shoot across at us, and he could see the light at 6 inches above the ground. So that was number one thing. Oops, I'm probably not even showing you this, am I? I bet you I'm not. Unbelievable. I'm such a loser.
Yeah.
I had it already, too. We'll transition. Sorry. It's coming. There you go. We'll wind it a little bit. Sorry about that. I was getting better at that, but not this time. And let's see. And I do tell you can see, clear. This is kind of hard because I had to make a small screen, so it's hard to see. But if you, I think the link is here or here, wherever. But you can get the actual high def video. Oh, there, you can see it right here, right above where my mouse is, if you can see that. And when I'm shining it at the ground, you don't see anything. But as soon as it comes back up onto the board, at 6 inches is where he can see it, and up, obviously higher than that. So right there, you see nothing, and then as we go up the board, then you will see it where my mouse is right there. So it's hard to see. I'm sure you can't see it being played over now 3 different bounces. But check that out. But anyway, just wanted to point that out that in this video is just go to Jeranism 4 mile test. So to start off, he's wrong. Eric Dubé and I did not work together. It was 3 years ago, and he was kind enough when I said I would I needed $1 from his.
See, that's a bullshit artist right there. I kept laughing. I kept laughing because a bullshit artist will ramble on and on and on. But you should always be asking yourself, the purpose of his experiment should be to prove something. What did he say is what is he proving? And you should really be asking yourself, no matter what it is, this experiment should come to a conclusion that the earth is flat. That's what I'm thinking to myself. As a person who's independent minded, who's trying to get information, I'm thinking to myself, is he going to get to the point of this experiment? Like that he said it was a success. And I'm thinking to myself, a success experiment for a flat earther means that you showed through this experiment that here is evidence, empirical evidence that the earth is flat. And you obviously didn't show that, but you call it a success. That is top-notch arrogance.
Many people as possible to purchase a cameraman. He came forward and paid the $200 right off the bat.
And the funny thing is this experiment and this evidence and how wonky it's all is, and he does this all the time. He does this all the time. No matter what experiment he does, the result of that experiment will never show a flat Earth. Doesn't matter what it'll show. It may show this, might show that, but it will never, and I do mean never, show a flat Earth. And the funny thing is, if we held him to the same standards that he holds NASA, we had to call bullshit. If NASA came out and gave this explanation that he gives, which gives another one for another experiment he does on the same level of bullshit. But if NASA gave this gave this explanation that he gave, he would call bullshit, which I would agree. Yeah, it's 100% bullshit. You didn't do anything. Just like NASA in space, you say they're just up there not doing any science or anything. There's no conclusion to what they're doing. They're just up there, just playing a part, just acting. What is this? What point? What was the point of this experiment? What was the point of any experiment you do? What is the point? Because you're not proving the Earth being flat. That's not happening. There's not one experiment you've done that you can give to the people and show, boom, here it is. The Earth is flat because of this. And here's the experiment that shows it. And here's how I did it. So go ahead and repeat it. What the hell are you doing? Just a bunch of flashing lights. The same thing you laugh at NASA about, you're doing.
And then I put up a video or one of these annotations we used to be able to put up that said, okay, everything's fine. We've purchased the filmographer, whatever you call it, the photographer. And even, the worst part about that was he came out for the first day when we couldn't get it done, and I had to pay for him the second day out of my pocket because he had to come back the next day to do this one. So anyway, let's go back to, and I'll bring you with me, make sure I don't forget that.
You see, that's the bullshit. He's talking about the cost to have someone video his experiment. Dude, again, he's just like NASA. It's insane. The same thing he says about NASA, he is doing. He says, I paid $200 so I can get this professionally done and videoed. It's like, do the fucking experiment, man. What is the purpose of your experiment? Yeah, I get it. You want it on video, but you're worried about the flash. You're worried about the pizzazz. You're not even worried about the fucking experiment. Which makes sense because experiment isn't even explaining shit. It's not proving shit. It's not doing anything. So of course you're going to worry about how it's presented and everything because you're trying to sell something. You're a salesman.
Let's go back to more nonsense from these two. Remember, it's a little inconsistencies that you people aren't following along with, I guess. Oh, did it go back? Yep. All right, let's finish this off.
And you wonder why are you saying that they're fake? But you don't know any of this.
Eric Dubé funded that experiment, and now Eric Dubé funded the last scene in a movie that's a hit piece on the flat Earth.
Wrong.
Literally.
Wrong.
Like literally, there's make no illusions about this.
Make no illusions. Literally, make no illusions. I mean, you couldn't be more off base. The movie Behind the Curve, I got contacted by these directors, whatever, and I'm not saying I agree with the movie. I don't. But regardless of that, they contacted me and said, hey, can we come film your experiment? I thought the experiment would be a success. I said, great, I don't have to film it. I'll have them film it, and they'll make it look more professional. They came out and filmed it twice because we tried it twice, and both times the beam diameter was too big. And then from what I've heard, I haven't seen the movie, but they basically took a part of the middle of the experiment when there was a...
Think about the bullshit this guy is saying. Jeranism is just building bullshit upon bullshit. Think about this. He's doing a scientific experiment, and he is worried about the video. Now, I'm not Einstein, but I know that scientific experiments can be repeated. You know, you have a procedure, you write them down. You know, I remember this in junior high school. You write down all the procedures you do, and then if you do it step by step, you can give it to someone else and they can repeat it. This is part of science. Why would someone who is doing an experiment, who is getting money, and who is setting this up need to be so worried about getting it caught for the very first time? I mean, let's just say worst case scenario, you get it right and your experiment proves the earth is flat, but they have the video now. Okay. What's to stop you to do it again? And do it again. But this is it. I mean, you are a bullshit artist and people would not understand and break down the bullshit you're saying. I mean, just think about it. You're doing an experiment, but you're so worried about getting it caught on video?
a moment, and you can even ask, there was a Globe believer there who was right there with me the whole time. We both, all of us, walked away from that day saying, well, nothing was proven here, because we saw moments in time where things were looking like a flat earth, and we saw moments in time where things were looking like the curved earth. And there was one particular moment where we had somebody going in and out from behind a screen or one of those panels.
This is the part that I can't stand, because you had a live stream where you posted a picture of Richard Feynman, and he had some quote, and he also played some video of Richard Feynman, and you quote mine the hell out of Richard Feynman. But it's funny that you admit that the experiment you did was pretty much inconclusive, which makes sense. You'll never have a conclusive experiment ever. You just won't have it. But you said it was inconclusive. But then you'll quote someone like Richard Feynman who says, hey, no matter how beautiful the experiment is or whatever, like if it's not real, abandon it, don't try to make it fit your reality. Same thing you kind of accuse the globe earthers of doing, and with gravity and everything and dark matter. They're trying to fit the unexplainable into their reality, so to speak. And you're doing the exact same thing with your very own experiment, which is bullshit anyway. But even the way you're explaining it, you are mirroring the same people that you make fun of.
And they were holding a light about chest high, which is about as high as the holes were cut in the panels. And we told them, okay, walk behind the thing. Remember, we're looking from 3 miles away through a P900. And we see them walk behind the panel, but we don't see the light. Now, if the earth is flat, we should see through every panel. We should see every hole. And there was no light there. So we said, hold it up above your head. And when he held it up above his head, we saw the light. So I said, interesting. I guess that's how they end the movie, from what I've heard. Now, there was moments earlier and after that where he was walking back and forth with the light at his chest, and we could see it. And then we said, hold it above your head. And when he held it above his head, we couldn't see it. So what the movie crew did was, kind of what you should expect. They cherry-picked the experiment. From what
Cherry-picked what? You didn't do anything. He's not saying anything. Journalism isn't saying anything. Hear what he's saying about his own experiment. He's not saying anything. I mean, maybe I'm too dumb to understand, but I swear I thought the purpose of any experiment a flat earther does is to prove the earth is flat or round or whatever. And that should be the conclusion. Either he sucks at telling a story or him getting to a conclusion is like impossible. Especially if it's a successful conclusion as he said it was, which it clearly isn't. You liar. God.
What I've heard, though, they didn't even mention what the experiment was about, what we were looking for, what the equations were, nothing. So it's harmless.
Yeah, tell
This
us.
guy's got to go off on a tangent and now say that I'm with Dubé and we're funding this known loss. No, it's just an experiment that was filmed, and they're going to use it how they're going to use it. And if they want to be dirtballs and do that, that's fine.
How did you use it though? You just said the experiment was a success. You should be like, oh my God, guys, it was a success. I've proven the earth was flat. Here's how. Boom. Now here's my experiment. Scientific community, have at it. And then the scientific community should have at it, dissect it, they repeat it, all these things, and then say, well, his experiment holds up, and you know, he's just proven the earth is actually. I only laugh because I know you're just bullshit. You're a liar. You're just a money grubbing liar. And even in your own experiment, you're not even coming to a conclusion of it being a flat earth. And that's why it's really funny. It's not even the fact that you say the earth is flat. It's just the fact that you're such a scam artist that you're using flat earth as like a vehicle, to scam people and to get attention. And it's just so obvious. I mean, and then you'll say things like, I'm just looking for the truth. And you use all these little buzzwords. It's just weird.
Let's continue.
Eric Dubé gave money to Jaron, and he screwed up with amateur Keystone cops, befuddled flat earther trying to figure out a laser. Real embarrassing Keystone cop situation. Then it goes to a psychiatrist saying these people are not well, and then it ends with an astrophysicist who's never been to space or is a liar if he went to space and says this is true when I painted it, saying we're all lost and we don't know physics and the education system's falling apart. The education system is falling apart because it was a cult. It was belief, and now we're asking questions because all globes are.
The point of it all is that I make a point to not try and say things about people unless I know it's true. Because as a researcher, I consider myself a researcher.
Bullshit. I know for a fact you call Red's rhetoric a troll. Red's rhetoric is a lot of things. A lot of things. But calling him a troll because he doesn't agree with you, because every time you go up against Red's rhetoric, he just makes you look bad. He's your kryptonite. You can't fuck with Red's rhetoric. It's just the way it is. He is like, you're like Lex Luthor, you evil bastard, and he's like Superman. He just foils you every time. That's why you don't go up against Red's rhetoric. Red's rhetoric foils your bullshit every time. Anybody who believes your bullshit, all they have to do is watch any video with you versus Red's rhetoric, and it's like, oh my God. Like, I remember when I first listened to you, I'm like, man, this guy is pretty good at thinking. He asks pretty deep questions. He's a good thinker. But then the more I listen to you, it's kind of funny because at first I thought about Flat Earth being legitimate, but it's actually listening to people like you, I realize it's not. Because people like you, I know a salesman and a liar when I hear one. I may not know much about space and the earth and all this other stuff, but I know a liar when I hear one. That I just know. I know a salesman. I know the psychology of a salesman. I know a hustler. And that's exactly what you are, Jeranism. You are a hustler.
I know the implications if I were to accuse somebody of something. If I were to say ODD is a shill, if I say that.
You said Red's rhetoric is a troll. He's many things but a troll. He is not. And you know he's not a troll. He might be the Superman to your Lex Luthor, and that's unfortunate for you. You know, we all need that person, I suppose, in life. And he's just it for you. But you called him a troll. I remember that. But you call a lot of people a troll. A lot of flat earthers do that. You know, these egomaniac flat earthers who can't handle anyone disagreeing with anything they say. They'll call you a troll just because that's just what a lot of them say.
Then what happens is, if ODD is not, well, what would ODD think of me? My reputation with him is gone because he knows that he's not, and I just made a claim, so obviously my research skills are shit. Well, that's basically what's happened to every single person that I've watched who's come along and said something about me that isn't true. Because I'm like, okay, well, if that's how you research, Eric Dubay, if that's how you research some of these other people that are doing the same thing, it's what, it doesn't bother me. It's just, it chalks another one off the list of people that I watch or respect their research, because obviously their research is crap. And, I tried to give this guy as much rope as I could, but when you start listening to things from people like MGTV,
What about results? All you talk about is research. Whose research you respect, whose research you don't respect. It's funny. You talk about the establishment, and the establishment is big into research as well. But I'm asking about results. All you talk about is research, but you don't talk about results at all when it comes to the flat Earth. You never do.
these are not researchers. Okay, you can't just throw accusations out all day long, and when you get one right out of 50, call yourself a researcher. It's just not the way it works. So,
How about your results?
just wanted to point that out, that whatever he's saying there is obviously not true. Hopefully you guys know that. If you don't, because I know it was 3 years ago, again, Eric Dubay donated money for me to do an experiment that we did 3 years ago that my wife and I did at the beach in Monterey. I call it a success. I don't know how you can call it anything differently.
Again, your arrogance is just this is like a salesman at its worst, because not a lot of people like are around a lot of hustlers. And when you hustle like intellectual things like flat earth, I'm not saying that it's intellectual, but you gotta be kind of engaged and kind of smart to understand the science behind just the the world that we live in anyway. And journalism has that. So it's hard for other people who are honest to really uncover the bullshit. If you really just want to hear different information and different things, people can package that and sell it to you. They will do that, and they should, because that's a skill in itself. But I'm just saying, I know a bullshit artist when I hear one, and you heard it yourself. He said he did an experiment and he can't even tell you the results of it, but he just said it was a success. In terms of what? What the hell is a successful experiment to a flat earther? I mean, tell me. I thought a successful experiment to a flat earther would be the earth being flat. Just like a successful experiment to uh, a physicist developing an atomic bomb would be an atomic bomb. It's not going to be, proving that you can, you know, cause a chain reaction or something. And you just think to yourself, like, man, this dude is a bullshit artist.
And then this most recent one was an experiment I did at the canal with Enrique. We had a bunch of people show up. There was probably 15 people there both days. And it was not a success. It was a failure, I guess you could call it. It wasn't a proving the globe. It wasn't a proving the flat earth. It was a waste of everybody's time.
Wait, so you're admitting that the actually last one you did wasn't a success, which is duh. That's not much that you need to admit to, because that's so obvious that it wasn't a success. And you're also admitting that to be a success is to prove one or the other. So with that being said, you bullshit artist, how is your last experiment a success?
That's what it was. It's upsetting. It's not what you want to do. It's not the way that you expect your experiments to go, but it's life. And so I can get over it. But obviously, these people want to keep harping on it and say this is a hit piece. Well, I look at it and say if I would have done the experiment like I wanted to, then everything would have been fine. But who knows?
What the hell does that mean? If you would have done the experiment the way you wanted to, everything would have been fine. Again, this is a bullshit artist. So he'll say things and you'll hear it. And if you're hearing it live and if you're not hearing it because you're thinking he's deceiving, you'll totally miss what he just said. You'll totally miss it. But you just heard what he said.
They would. I look at it and say if I would have done the experiment like I wanted to, then everything would have been fine. But who knows? They would have taken the experiment if I did it good and it proved the flat Earth. They probably would have taken the piece of it that didn't, that showed something else. So what are you going to do? That's why I'm going.
You just heard that. You just heard that. Now I mean, I don't have to say break it down because you just heard what he said. I mean, to a flat earther, this should be like, wait a minute. You're telling me that you didn't actually do the experiment, but you just did lip service to it? But if you would have done it the way you wanted to do it, it would have been okay? Well, do it the way you want to do it. You got the money. You've been given money to do it the way that we thought you wanted to do it. And uh, this is how he's a bullshit artist.
Going to fine, but who knows? They would have taken the experiment and say if I would have. Obviously, these people want to keep harping on it and say this is a hit piece. Well, I look at it and say if I would have done the experiment like I wanted to, then everything would have been fine.
What does that mean, Jeranism? What does that mean? And people who support this guy has to ask him that. What does that mean? Because again, I know he's a bullshit artist. I'm not gonna go through this whole video because I can spend 2 hours and this dude has lied. And I'm only 21 minutes in. I'm only analyzing one part because it's his most egregious lies, but it's lies that he lies to on himself. Again, you hear what this dude is saying.
But who knows? But obviously, these people want to keep harping on it and say this is a hit piece. Well, I look at it and say if I would have done the experiment like I wanted to, then everything would have been fine. But who knows? They would have taken the experiment if I did it good and it proved the flat Earth. They probably would have taken the piece of it that didn't, that showed something else.
Wait, so you're telling me if you would have done an experiment the way you would have I'm using fucking air quotes here. If you would have done an experiment the way you wanted to, just fine, and everything worked out to you to prove flat Earth because they have it on video, you're shit out of luck. Well, guys, we just proved Earth being flat, but we got it on video. Yeah, I know. We're supposed to, be doing science, and I've been writing down step by step the experiment that we've been doing, and experiment should be repeatable, but they took the video, guys, and that's it. They have the video. They have the video. We can't do anything because they have the video. We know the Earth is flat, but they have the video. Look, I'm not even against the flat earth. I'm really not. I have a different take on a lot of different things, but I'm going to say this. Jeranism, if you're like flat earther and you're like, and you're thinking this dude is like with you, he's not. I mean, he's like bullshit artist. Again, I can smell him a mile away. And I can literally break this down, pause it, and, play it back, and so you can hear him say it again. And I can keep doing this throughout this whole video because I know a bullshit artist when I hear one. It's like, oh my God, this dude's a bullshit artist. There's no how, because I'm a bullshit artist. So it's almost like a hacker knowing a hacker. But he's a really shitty hacker. He's not good. He's not that smart. He's too arrogant. Only someone as arrogant as Jeranism would say, my experiment, the first one, was a success, even though he just admits that he judges a successful experiment for a flat earther to prove whether or not the earth is flat or a globe. But he's so arrogant and his ego is so big, he can't say to himself, well, hold on. My first experiment never even showed that. It didn't show that at all. My first experiment totally failed by my own standards. Just like the second one, which you admit to.
So what are you going to do? That's why I'm going down this Sunday again to check out this experiment by Nat Geo because I want to see what they're doing. I don't want that to happen again.
Don't want what to happen again, dude. I don't know who this Nat Geo dude is, but it's like whoever he is, he's doing an experiment too. But guess what, dude? If no one gets a video and he proves whatever it is he's trying to prove, guess what he can do again next Sunday? He can go out there and say, hey, we just follow these instructions that we wrote down. We should be fine. And we can do it again. And then it works. And then someone says, ooh, those are interesting results. Let me get those procedures and do them. And you know how much you know how much I know you're a bullshit artist, Jeranism. It's because I can ask you, hey, if you're really about the quote unquote truth and experiments, all this other bullshit, show us your procedure list. Show us the step by step procedures you did to get your experiments. Because I should be able to give you the same scrutiny that you give NASA, meaning the same kind of like expectations you have from NASA in terms of their honesty and their transparency and their openness, but you expect from them, you don't get from them. Why is it that we don't get that from you? You see, you do just what they do. It's kind of funny.
One of the bad things, and this is something that I got screwed on, is when they said, hey, can we come film the experiment? I said, sure, come film it. And I took it, I said, oh, great, I don't have to film it then.
A bullshit
Because
artist.
this documentary crew's coming to film it. So that
Has
takes a burden off my
nothing
shoulders.
to do with
So
your
I can worry
experiment.
about the laser, I can worry about the test. So I got there, set it up, worried about the laser, did the test. When I asked them for the footage, they told me no. So I said, oh, I didn't film it. And they said, oh, well, sorry, we're making a documentary and we can't give.
Film what? What did you do that it's worthy of you asking for your film? You, I, this is insane. This is how you're a bullshit artist. You're not even explaining anything. You're talking about capturing a failed experiment on video, and that they didn't give you the video, and that's how you knew not to trust them. You know how I know not to trust you? Keep talking.
Give you the footage till after we either sell it or make a documentary or don't make one. And I said, well, I need the footage because you guys filmed and I didn't, and they didn't give it to me. So, I mean, I had a bad taste in my mouth with these guys from the beginning. I didn't
Bad
think they were
taste.
very honest with me. But it is what it is. The movie's out. What are you going to do? Or the movie debuted. So you can't cry over spilled milk. So it is what it is. But
You're not even saying anything. Journalism is not even saying anything. You're not saying anything, dude. You're not saying anything. You basically are just babbling bullshit. You and you're trying to sound like you're about something by saying, well, we did an experiment and the experiment was a success and we tried to get the video, but we couldn't get the video. We're being held back because we can't get the video. They're in on it, and it's kind of like you're telling us you have a successful flat earth experiment that you can't repeat. I can't make this up because he actually said this shit and he keeps going. And that's the scary part. This is just like the only part that this isn't even the part that I even wanted really to focus in on. The part that he shows himself to be a bullshit artist is the Richard Feynman part. That's the part where he actually shows it flat out. This is just interesting.
Matthew, do a better job of researching that. I mean, that's so terrible. And to have Katie say it's the little intricacy, the little intricate details that you people don't pay attention to. No, I think it's the little big details that you guys aren't paying attention to.
No, I don't know who she is, but she's right. It's the small things we don't pay attention to. Because again, I used to actually like your videos in terms of how they're presented, and they still are presented very good. But when you know the person who's presented is just doing a show, not based on anything genuine inside, but just based off of a show, he's just doing a show. He's just a showman. He's selling you something. It's like it's not as authentic anymore. It's not as authentic, and you begin to see that. It's these small things that you say. And I didn't make anything up. I don't know you. I don't know anything about you. I don't have anything against or for Flat Earth. You know, that is not anything. I just know a bullshit artist. I'm interested in the bullshit artist aspect of it.
So before you accuse me of being an actor or whatever else you've accused me of, FBI in my bedroom, and baby skin journals. You should check yourself.
You're a terrible actor.
The other person who made a nonsense claim at me, or whatever you want to call it, we're going to go to YouTube, this one. And
Surprised he didn't say
I
libel.
saw this video just today over my little right side little feed. Was real happy with this one. So this is called Flat Earth Jeranism, I guess, by Mr. Slice Barcane. But I just wanted to point out here what desperate steps these guys go to. Pretty sad. So
Desperate
let's see here. Hopefully
steps.
you can hear that. I'm not sure if you can hear it.
The same.
Yeah,
Oh my
yeah,
God.
watching.
So
So this
arrogant.
is Slice Barcane's video. See if this makes any sense at all. Basically, oh, by the way, the description here says, just another quick proof that Jeranism will lie to get views.
Yeah.
Lie to get views, okay.
Yeah,
But
you
I
will
did
lie
a
to get
live feed
views.
the other night, in which I showed for a small period of time a balloon launch from San Francisco. So here's his 3-minute and 21-second video. Balloon footage, okay. And yep, this is my live video number 21. This is number 22 that you're watching now. Let's see here. What is he? Is he talking? Maybe turn the volume up. Oh, it's me. I'm talking. But I want you to watch it because I think it's probably one of the better looking balloon launches I've ever seen. Yeah, I agree. I would dare say it's the best. It is beautiful. But interesting is, at least I think that there's either 3 or 4 cameras on it. So I said I think there's either 3 or 4 cameras on it, and then he goes and lists all these cameras. I guess that's me lying, because I didn't write the actual cameras on the screen like he did.
I'm not even watching
Makes
this
a lot
part.
of sense. And then he says here, if you watch his little text, and I was talking during this time,
I'm
and
just
then
fascinated. You're
what
such
I'm
a
doing
bullshit
as I'm
artist.
talking to you guys, just like I do in this video, is I'm live, and so I have my video player up, and I was
You're such a
skipping past
bullshit artist.
them
So
launching
amazing.
the balloon. Who wants to see that? So he said, did you see that? Did you see that cut that Jaren made?
Yes,
Did you see that time? What? See what?
I'm gonna watch like
Oh,
20
so
minutes of
I
this
cut.
bullshit just
It's a
to
rather odd.
analyze
I'm live.
this dude.
What do you
And
cut? What do
anybody
you mean
connected
cut?
to this dude is just
I'm
suspect
doing a
because
live video. I cut it live. That makes a lot of sense. This guy, obviously, he does good research.
it's just the arrogance of it all. It's like, how can you be so arrogant to say to yourself, my first experiment, it was a success. How could it not be? It's kind of like, how could it not be? Because you didn't prove anything. And so the second one, you, I guess, have some sense because it's so obvious. I mean, you can't be that arrogant. You know, I just don't understand it. You didn't prove anything in terms of your own standards. God,
Right?
damn it.
And this is why none of these guys have credibility with me. None of them. I mean, they've all, burned their bridge long ago with just nonsense, complete horseshit they make up.
Credibility.
They call themselves about the truth, and they're so scientific, they can't get anything right. So why would I listen to a word they say? So Jaren didn't
Scientific.
wanna-
They're so scientific, yet you can't perform an experiment because if your experiment is successful and they have the video, you somehow can't prove the Earth being flat because it's impossible for you to repeat the experiment again because somehow this is just you just need magic to do it or something.
to show you the distortion of all 4 cameras. I didn't want to show you the distortion of all. What? I showed the video of the camera of the balloons, the balloon launch. So did I block out one of the camera views? First of all, let's look back at this picture here. So he says, I don't want to show you the distortion of all 4 cameras. Where do you not see distortion? Which camera has no distortion? It's a ball. And that was the point of my video, saying, hey, look at this image. So what is he saying? That this is a distorted image? Well, what happened, Sly? They took the ball Earth and then flattened it out? What are you talking about?
God damn it.
Angle lens. I said it's a regular lens, meaning it's not distorted like a spherical ball, like the nonsense that you guys jerk off over. Okay, it's an ultra wide angle lens. It doesn't mean it has no spherical aberration. Yep, and then I said, that's incredible, because the sun is right there, and he says, Yes, that is incredible. The hot spot on the water
Someone should do a video every
means the sun
time
is near
Jeranism.
and
And this is how you know he's just a bullshit liar, is because he'll say things like, I don't do personal attacks, and I'm not really into the whole personal attack things. This fucking jack off. He masturbates, gloves hard. I don't like doing personal attacks or anything like that. And I'm Jeranism, and I just, I just like the truth, and I like the truth, and I like the results and the truth.
directly above Monterey Bay. Well, considering the sun cannot go above Monterey Bay, why not? We are north of the Tropic of Cancer, by the way. And then it says here, all info on balloon is available on the Night Crew Lab site. Oh, my bad, I didn't go there. The original balloon video was less than 6 minutes
He
long.
can't be like
There's a link to the complete
Cohen
balloon setup
bro.
in
He
the video
can't be
description. There's
accurate.
no way that Jaron did
He's
not
just
know what I just showed you.
just
This
a
means he
scammer.
knowingly lied to you about the
He's
footage
just
content.
He's a bullshit
Is this guy for
artist
real?
scammer that is
Did
locked
somebody
on
sit
something
down and make that
that
video?
sells controversy.
So this is how Jeranism lies for views. That I got views because I put a 5-minute segment of some balloon launch in my live video. What are you talking about? It's really pathetic that that's how you try and discredit me. You run out of ideas to build up your ball earth some more. You have to say that I'm lying to get views. Just nonsense. So I don't know. I don't. Why I would ever watch another one of that guy's videos? It makes no sense.
Why does he act so confused? He acts so oblivious and so confused. Like, what's going on? Like, what happened? How can this be? People know you are a liar, dude. Now, it's shocking that not too many people can figure it out, but you are a fucking liar. And I'm not even breaking down your actual science in terms of like what you believe and how I could point out every lie you tell with those other liars you're around. That's not even it. This is just simple. And again, I haven't gotten to the actual part that I want to get to, which is the refinement part, but it's almost like I just want to stop. But the rich refinement part is the biggest part because it's so you.
It is complete and total garbage. And if you go to, let's see here. Where is that little page? So if you go to this one, nope, this one, nope. Oh yeah, this one here. All right, so this is the Night Crew Labs little site here, and I went and looked at uploads. Once I watched their video, they have what 6, 7, 8 uploads. The longest one is worship of this spherical camera and a $750 lens. They put this thing up in the slide. Do you see this? Do you see how when the camera goes down, how it bends? Is this reality?
What are you getting at, Jeranism?
Cool? Oh, look at spherical. Oh, it went the other blackness. There it goes. Oh, please bend. No, don't go that way. Yeah, bend. There it is. Ball. Yep, there we go. That's the sun behind the ball earth. What a bunch of nonsense. Just, I mean, what are you trying to say? I don't even understand what you're trying to say here. What was the point of your little video? These guys are just like everybody else. This is a completely nonsense view of the earth. I don't know whoever thought of it. I don't know how they put it in people's heads. That's how much control
You're such
they
a
have over people that they
hypocrite,
can just say,
Jeranism. You
GoPro
are
lenses
a
are cool,
hypocrite.
and then everybody's like, yeah, I want to see the earth as a big stupid sphere. Even though you'll never see that. It doesn't look like that at all. Let's see this one. Did they do the same thing? Oh, here we go. Good. Bend. There, ball earth. It's right there. See it? See curve? Keeps curving. Looks like a ball to me. Yeah. It's crap. And, there we go. Look at that curve. Now we got the black ball. Black ball.
See,
I'm gonna get copper.
this is so easy to analyze.
Look at the morphing of New Mexico.
What he's doing here.
Cool. Yep, right there. I always see that happen. Yep, I was driving on this road at that time. I got completely thrown off the road.
What he's doing
I was
here.
into the ditch.
Ask yourself,
I didn't expect
what is he doing here?
To morph so quickly. Oh, look at this ocean right here, bending. There's the curvature. It's right here. Measure that, Nat Geo. Yep, measure that curve.
Now, you gotta ask yourself. I don't know where he's even going with this because I saw pieces of this, but you got to ask yourself where he's going with this. 'Cause I don't know where he's going to go with this, but you got to ask yourself because these people are shooting these videos with balloons. I don't think they are specifically trying to prove the Earth is flat or round. They looks like they're doing something entirely different. Okay, but he's not telling us that. It's as if he's building up a straw man to attack.
Measure that right there. Yep, right there. That's the estimated amount of curvature you're supposed to have. Look it up.
Because no one is
Yourself.
saying this. No
Do
one.
your own experiments.
Because all you're hearing is him
Look it
saying
up. This
that
is
this
exactly
is
the right amount
proves
of
the
dip
Earth
you're
is
supposed to
round.
have. Dip right there. Dip.
You see, we see a video of this Earth, and we see it up, and we see it being contorted, and this image being just funky and everything. We all can see this, and he is selling us how phony this is to show that the Earth is round, which I would agree it is. It doesn't prove anything, but he is building this up and just attacking the hell out of it, as if the people who were doing this experiment were saying this is 100% proof that the Earth is a globe, and they put it up in the sky and they say, "Yep, this is our experiment. Come and get it." Because we could come and get it and just say it doesn't really prove much. The lens is all circular and it's just making everything look all crazy looking. And this, he's just
It's curved. It's curved. I mean, I don't know who
this
it
is a
questions
bullshit
these
artist.
things
He's
anymore.
not saying
We've known this for
anything.
thousands of years. It's kind of ridiculous that people today, idiots, Aristophanes proved it years ago.
I mean, look at the titles of these videos. These dudes are just taking balloon footages in the high atmosphere. That's it. What they get, they get.
So, anyway, but then you watch this one, which is the one I was showing, and heaven forbid, I'm going to skip through this part here. I'm not trying to skip for any particular reason, just because I don't think we want to watch this part. Isn't that creative? Interesting. Bending wide angle, look at that. And that's what I meant by a regular camera. I said, this is a regular lens. The other three are GoPro. Usually people know what I'm talking about. See this camera? This is called GoPro. See this bend here that's not reality?
Who cares?
And I said, I like this camera. Best I've ever seen, because it's not doing that. It's not morphing. That's the Monterey Bay. It's exactly what it looks like from a plane.
Okay, you see, this is why he's a bullshit artist. People have to look at this and say to themselves, okay, he's saying that this is this fits his reality. He feels good about this image. Okay, let's run with that. Does this image prove the Earth being flat? He would have to say, no, it really doesn't. But that's not the point. Exactly. So why are you going on and on and on about all these images, how these look good, but the others don't look good, and somehow the ones that you say look good? So what does that mean? Does that mean the Earth is flat? Tell me. What does it mean?
It's not making it into a ball with the blackness of space behind it. So, basically, that was what I want to show you there. Let's go look at these
What are you showing us?
things here. Spherical aberration, just so we know what that is. And then what is, because the type of lens that they're using, so this is, they're using a Sony A7S. It says flies on the Night Crew Labs mission. Oh, you want to see this, sorry.
See, here's the annoying part. Is that everything he's saying is just bullshit and just a bunch of filler. He's not telling you anything about the flat Earth. He's not saying, "Hey, this is how the Earth is flat." The conclusion of everything that is never the conclusion you draw hearing him talk. You never draw that. You never say to yourself, "Okay, after hearing this dude talk for 20 minutes, I come to the conclusion that the Earth is flat." Okay, after he did this experiment and showed us the results, I've come to a conclusion that the Earth is flat. You have never and will never come to that conclusion hearing him talk. And he goes on for quite a while and he just keeps going and going and going. But this is like every video he's ever done. He never ever concludes to the point of the Earth being flat. He just doesn't. He'll tell you the Earth is flat, but all this bullshit he's telling you, it never concludes to the Earth being flat, and it never will. But that's why he's a bullshit artist, because he knows to sell. He knows he's not going to sell you the the big thing. And I'm not even saying the big sell is that it's not flat, but I'm saying is he knows he doesn't know. He doesn't know. And if he doesn't know, well, he doesn't believe one way or another. He doesn't believe the earth is flat no more than he believes that it's round because he doesn't know. So he knows that one would sell and the other one doesn't. The one that sells, the one that's controversial is the flat. So he's selling you that. But he doesn't believe the earth is flat. He's just selling you that the earth is flat. I realize he's selling this. This is part of me knowing what a bullshit artist is. Again, I don't know the science of flat earth more or less than I know the science of globe earth. But I do know the science of a bullshit artist. And I can listen to his entire video and tell you that the more and more he goes on, he'll never, the stories he's telling you, these things he's pointing out, they'll never come to a conclusion that the earth is flat. And that should be the premise of everything he discusses. But you'll notice his experiments, this as it goes on, it'll never tell you, he'll never come to the conclusion of the earth being flat.
So
That's
this
because
is
he's
the
a
Sony
bullshit
A7
artist.
camera that
This is
they
what they do.
used. Very expensive. They talk
sell
about
you
here in
just
the
enough.
Same video we just watched, but it tells you which lens they use. So I went and looked it up, and they call it a E-mount wide-angle zoom. So I think he's saying like, "Oh, Jaron told you it's a regular lens, but it's actually a wide-angle zoom."
This doesn't
The
matter.
point was that it's not distorting the image like the other three cameras were. And then this camera bent it. You look up for lens stick, we can see that it's got a meter degree. Well, what's a fisheye lens mean? I mean, a fisheye lens, isn't that 180? It's a special mapping, which I would think that, yeah, here we go. From corner camera, where are we at here? Wide angle lens. It's evident in the curved underwater.
And I'm fast forwarding this for a point.
Exactly. Same thing here. Is that they usually ultra wide angle of GoPro. I don't know what curved line correctly. That was a very why they're in that is a software rec fisheye Tila. It shows. So that's my definition of regular. I apologize if I should have said this is a wide angle lens that looks real. Is that better? Is everything good now? Are we good now? Good. Let's see what else we have here. So we got that one done. We have we looked at the price of this one. Got that done. And just showing what spherical aberration is. Oh, because it has an aspheric lens, which is important because in a spheric.
The point of this, you can tell what a bullshit artist is doing. And this is what they do. It's just all a filler. Because I'm asking myself, as he's talking, I'm asking myself, what is proving a flat earth? Prove a flat earth. Prove a flat earth. And I'm thinking to myself, everything he talks about is proving a flat earth. But it's not. He's talking about filler. He's talking about bullshit. He's talking about prices of lenses that are fisheye, lenses that are wide. The point of the matter is, the conclusion of what he's getting to, you're not going to come to the conclusion of the earth being flat. That's a promise, and you're not. At least I'm not. He's not. That's not even his purpose. And that's what I'm saying. His purpose isn't even convince you that the earth is flat. That's why he's giving you this filler, which is just bullshit.
Lens or asphere is the lens whose surface profiles are not.
He's not stopping.
Sphere, often called an aspheric, and also can be cheaper than the multi-lens design. And it is used most often. Aspheric elements are used in design of multi-element wide-angle and fast normal lenses to reduce aberrations.
And
so if you don't know, like all your telescopes have spherical aberration.
Okay.
Because they're, unless you have a real expensive one, they all do.
Really?
And that I'm sure is talked about in here somewhere. I don't know.
How does it show the earth flat?
Over here.
How does it show the earth flat?
Collaboration showing you where the focal point would be in a ideal lens, which is not really realistic. But any kind of a telescope is going to have some spherical aberration.
He will not tell you how the earth is flat from all this bullshit he's saying. This is like a carnival trick.
Negative spherical aberration means peripheral rays are not bent enough. The effect is proportional to the fourth power of the diameter, inversely proportional to the fourth power of the focal length.
He said proportional. He has to be saying something right.
That's what's going on. It says, for small telescopes using spherical mirrors with focal ratios shorter than f10, light from distant point source such as a star.
What does this have to do with the flat earth, though? That's the purpose of what you should be talking about, right?
farther from the mirror than light
You're not
striking the
saying
outer part. As a
anything,
result,
dude.
the image cannot be focused as sharply as if the aberration were not present.
This is
Because
the
of
whole
spherical
point.
aberration, telescopes with focal length less than 10 are usually made with
You're not
non-spherical
saying
mirrors
anything about the
or
flat
with
Earth. You're
correcting
just
lenses.
regurgitating
And that's why
bullshit.
I got rid of my telescope, is because I took the lens off and looked through the lens of my telescope, and it was bending the world. I saw a car in the driveway bent like a sphere, like a fisheye lens. And I said, what the hell do I want this for? And somebody said, oh, that lens is just correcting what's happening to the telescope. So it says who? I
So
don't want images that are
the
corrected for me. Thank you very
opposite of
much.
this proves a flat Earth,
Francis
right?
Telescope. I don't want to see something that somebody says, oh, those things were coming in bent, so we had to bend it in a sphere for you.
This
Oh, really?
is
Thanks.
he's like a carny,
Pass.
dude. This is like a
Anyway,
carny. This is like a
let's move
rip-off
along.
carny
Spend too
game.
much time on that. We
He
did
throws
that
the
one.
rings and just
And
like
what's this one here?
falls
That's
off.
just showing the camera. We saw that.
He's
Too.
still talking about a fucking
So
camera.
that was that. So I don't know if you guys saw this article. Just brought this up so you could see there was a New Yorker article. Another one. What do you expect, really? Another one talking a bunch of mess about flat Earth and the craziness that it is.
Yeah, and you're the reason why it's fucking crazy, Jeranism. You are the. In fact, this is the part that I kind of like made me know that you're a bullshit artist. I mean, the Feynman part just really ticked me off because it's more just an annoyance that someone like you can keep quoting Feynman, even though everything you stand for and everything you say, which I can literally break down, goes against everything he's believed. It's amazing. But that's way too personal, I suppose. The other part that just bothers me is the fact that an article like this from the New Yorker that talks about you as a front runner for the flat Earth, which you may not like that title, but anytime the mainstream media, which the New Yorker is, whether you want to believe that or not, but anytime they put you in the forefront, that's exactly what you are. And if you represent flat Earth, it makes sense why people will call you a shill. It makes absolute sense because only a shill will admit that his experiment to prove a flat Earth was a success. You said it yourself, Jeranism. You said your first experiment that you did was a success. The same experiment that these people, these mainstream media folks, actually uh, got. Okay, and you're going to sit here and you're going to mock this whole article talking about you with your quote unquote, you said successful experiment. The nerve,
But I wanted to show this one part.
the arrogant
Things
nerve.
like this that are said and just passing that, it's just ridiculous that people keep believing these, keep saying these things. Human engineering seemingly takes Earth's curvature into account. No, they don't. Lighthouses are deliberately built tall so that the beams of light can be seen from ships far away. Like that wouldn't be the case on flat Earth. Oh,
Exactly.
flat Earth? Actually, let's not build lighthouses anymore because we don't need to, because boats further away don't see further if the light's up high in the sky. Let's just put lights that spin on the beach about a foot high because it's flat Earth. So we don't, it doesn't matter that they could be 1,000 miles away and they're going to see this little light on the beach. Why do we need to put it up high? Ridiculous. Come on, let's think here. Radio towers send their signals dozens of hundreds of miles by bouncing them off the ionosphere. Yeah, I'm sure you've tested that and you know that. Which wouldn't be necessary if the Earth were
test.
Oh boy. A long bridge appears flat because it parallels Earth. What? Because it spans half apart at the top of the bases. Because somebody said that. This guy loves things that people say. He says here.
Come on, get to your
Of course,
lives.
such arguments prompt further questions. If the Earth is actually flat, why does the sun rise or set? Where does it go? Well, it keeps it aloft. Because in our model, gravity does. Gravity holds the Earth. It holds the huge, heavy, massive Earth. It holds it in space. Maybe you guys have seen me do Universe Sandbox before. You can go to this. It's simulated. a video of the Earth right now, and the Earth is just sitting there.
This is a
As much as
classic
we talk
bullshit
about the
artist.
speed and how much it's flying through space, because these are all numbers that need to be true in order for space to be real, and in order for their dreams and hopes and aspirations of going to Mars and living in suits and eating potatoes, in order for those things to be true, you need to have these speeds. The problem is that if you just look at the Earth right now, we're just sitting here. The huge, entire, massive Earth. Think of if the Earth was a ball. Think of how much everything would weigh just on the crust, and then think of everything between the crusts. Think of how heavy that, and then it's just sitting there in space. Here we go, floating through space and time. It's just floating here. I mean, it's just nonsense. Again, I understand you were taught it. I understand you don't want it to not to be true, but that doesn't make it true.
True.
He says, what keeps it aloft? Because gravity does theirs, obviously. And what about all those satellites I've seen being launched into space? Well, check the Bermuda Triangle, check the Atlantic Ocean. The responses recede along a path of half-baked to evasive. Talks about me a little bit here. Yes, I highlighted the part that I was interested in. So let's understand this little paragraph here. He says, flat Earth logic is by turn.
Now, I don't know what's coming in its entirety, but I'm going to just know this. He's going to tell a whopper of a fucking lie because he can't help himself. This is how you know Jeranism is a fucking shill. I promise you. Again, I'm not a flat earther in that sense, but I just know a shill because I know a salesman. This is just 100% salesman right here. This is a performance of a salesman at its best.
Mesmerizing and maddening. There is no gravity, nothing to restrain it. But as a theory, it explains fewer phenomena than the theory it seeks to supplant. In the corridor, I met a documentary filmmaker. There were several milling around at the conference who had been following the flat Earth community for months. His face bore a look of despair. If you're going to dismiss everything as a hoax, you better have something clear to replace it, he said, his voice rising towards apoplexy. If you tell me your car isn't blue, and I ask you, well, what color is your car? Don't fucking tell me I don't know, but it's not blue. What color is your fucking car? Now, we need to think about this here for a second. If the entire world has been lied to about space not being real, about the shape of the Earth, how the hell would we know how it all works? Like, that's what's important? If you're gonna dismiss this as a hoax, then you better have something clear to replace it. Oh, I better? No, I'm sorry, I don't. So go ahead, believe your lies. That's obviously more important to you. Well, I'd rather have a lie that works. Oh, Larry, your wife's been cheating on you. And nope. Well, with who? I don't know with who. She's just been cheating on you. Nope. Sorry, you need to tell me with who, or else it doesn't matter to me. I'll just sleep with her every night. It doesn't matter. Don't tell me that your car's not blue. Don't you tell me what color is the car. If that's how it's like, don't you realize they taught you to be that way? Car every night. I don't know with who. No. Oh, it's more important to you. No, I'm sorry, I don't. Miss it.
Now, in terms of speaking bullshit, I'm gonna have to do a separate video on this one because this is bullshit 101.